Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah and very good afternoon, everyone. Okay, for this class, we will be covering the parametric tests, which involves the t-tests and ANOVA. Generally, t-tests and ANOVA we use to compare the mean score between groups. T-test is normally used if you want to compare the means between two groups, while ANOVA is used when we want to compare the means between three or more groups. Okay, all right. Okay, to conduct parametric tests, we have to fill these two conditions. One is your data needs to be normally distributed, and second of all, you need to have an approximately equal number for each group. Let's say, for example, you have 100 respondents and you want to compare male and female. Ideally, if you have 50 males versus 50 females, is quite good. Or if there's slight difference between males and females, let's say you have 59 males versus 41 females, 59 females versus only 41 males, that is still acceptable. But if, let's say, if you have unequal amount of group, let's say you only have 10 male, like in this class, the amount of male is between 10 to 12, while we have more than 80 for females. So it is obvious that the ratio between male and females in the group year class is unequal. But don't worry, you can still do compare means. The only thing that you have to do is to use the Welsh t-test and Welsh ANOVA functions. Okay, if they are equal, you can do the normal independent t-test and the normal ANOVA with no hassle. Okay. So first of all, we are going to have to check the normality of the data of the class. So this is the general rule. If you want to measure normality, we look at the z value for each of the dependent variable that we wish to measure. In this case, the main dependent variable is the intention to purchase or behavior intentions towards ready-to-eat food. Sikap terhadap penggunaan frozen-to-eat food and sikap terhadap frozen ready-to-eat food berfungsi sebagai independent variables. Tetapi kalau dalam research ni, selain you nak tengok relationship antara dua independent variables terhadap dependent variable yang dalam Likert skill ni, kalau you ada objektif atau hypothesis untuk tengok or compare mean score between gender, let's say gender, bangsa, had umur, had lingkup umur, tahap pendidikan tinggi, pekerjaan, dan anggaran pendapatan terhadap behavior intention as well as attitude towards frozen to eat food. You can also do. You should also do the normality test for all three variables in this case. The attitude towards frozen, the attitude towards users, and behavior intention. 3 sekali kita buat. Okay. Okay. We go in. Okay. Okay. How do we calculate the Z scores? this is the threshold that we need to follow. Since our sample is between 50 to 300, we will take the Z value between negative 3.29 until positive 3.29. Okay. All right. Let's calculate the value in SPSS. So you open your SPSS program. Go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, go to Explore. As you can see, I've already inserted all variables. Reset, bring them back. Yes. You want to see histogram. And click OK. So we have to calculate the Z value manually, because up until this point, SPSS hasn't come to the stage where it can automatically calculate Z-scores for you if you want to do a normality test. So we'll look at each of the variables one by one. Okay. So we look at frozen attitude towards frozen ready-to-eat food. Okay. The first step to measure the Z value of the skewness is to take, you look at the statisticity column and standard error. You divide the value of skewness, divide bagikan dengan standard error 2.47. Gitu juga dengan kurtosis, ambil value 413 bahagi 4.90. Sama juga untuk attitude of the usage of frozen ready-to-eat food. In this case, negative 0.9 divided by 0.27, and for the kurtosis, negative 3.48 divided by 4.9, and lastly, we look at the behavior intention, sama juga, the value of skewness divided by its standard error, and the value of kurtosis divided by its standard error. So, using manual calculation, my right, you should get this value. Okay, as you can see, if it's too small, let me enlarge for you. Let me show you in bold. So the attitude score towards ready-to-eat food has a Z score of 1.35 for skewedness, 0.84 for kurtosis, which is what we want between the range of negative 3.29 until 3.29. Okay, as you can see, the value of the skewness and kurtosis for behavior intention as well as attitude of usage are also acceptable. Okay, so at this point in time, it looks like our data is so far normally distributed. Okay, usually at this stage, when Z-score is the minimum amount if you want to measure normality, but if you go up to a higher level when you do masters or PhD, you may need to look at the Kolmogorov and Shapiro-Wilks tests. Okay, I've already copied the values in this table. Usually we favor Shapiro-Wilks because it's more stronger as compared to Kolmogorov-Shimrov test. Okay. All right. The value we are looking for is actually above 0.05 to indicate that the data is normally distributed. If the significant value is below 0.5, means the data is not really normally distributed. As you can see here, attitudes toward frozen food and attitudes of usage is considered normal, but we have a problem when you look at the behavior intention because the value, significant value is below 0.05. So, but for this case, we are not going to conclude that the data for behavior intention is not normal because the skewness and kurtosis value is somewhat still acceptable. So in this case, we can assume that the data is normally distributed. Okay, but in the event that, let's say, the value we get is below, for all three is below 0.05, by right we cannot do parametric tests. If we still wanted to compare means, we will do non-parametric tests, which we'll be covering next week. Okay, but for the sake of argument, for this week, we assume that our data is normally distributed, and we can do the t-test and ANOVA. Okay. Okay, if you want to learn more about checking for normality using skewedness, kurtosis, as well as the Kolmogorov and Saville-Wilk test, you can search YouTube for this video. You can see the title, and this is the channel's name, Statistics and Theory. Okay. Okay. We're now continuing. I'm now going to demonstrate you how you would do your ANOVA analysis in SPSS. Okay. All right. So, of all the demographic variables available, the one that qualifies for t-test will be gender because there's only male and female. Okay. Variable macam bangsa, negeri asal lebih daripada 3. So, ideally kita kena buat, kita analyze dia guna ANOVA lah. Okay. Gender kita akan analyze guna t-test, independent t-test, dan kita akan t-test mean score based on attitude towards frozen to eat food, attitude towards usage, and behavior intention. Okay, reminder ya, apabila kita buat analisis, walaupun dalam question yang menggunakan Likert scale, kita tak buat analisis tu based on individual items ni ya, ataupun analogi mudah, kita tak buat penilaian kereta berdasarkan komponen tayar, steering, brake semua ni. Kita buat assessment in terms of mean score, in terms of relationship berdasarkan kereta itu sendiri. So that's why pada kelas yang mula saya train you untuk transform the variable, meaning attitude yang you tengok apa mean score ni adalah representative item A1 hingga A7. Attitude towards usage ialah mean score kepada semua item dalam B, while behavior intention ialah representative all 7 items, the mean score for C. Okay, so we're going to do an analysis based on the car and not the components. Kita akan assess variables ni, compare them as a whole, not as individual components. All right, so we compare the means, go to the independent t-test. As you can see, I dah masukkan attitude usage and behavior intention. Now, when you put the groups that you want to assess, you go into grouping. It will come up a question mark. What does Gentina stand for? So we need to set definition 1 and 2, meaning 1 is male, 2 is female. So we click OK, and this is the result. Okay, let's look at them one by one. Yeah, okay. All right, since we don't have a balanced proportion of male and female. Therefore, we cannot use the normal independent t-test statistic. We need to use the Welch statistic value. Okay, you might be asking, where is the Welch value displayed? The Welch value is displayed at the bottom column, as you can see here. Let's focus your attention on frozen attitudes towards frozen food. Equal variance assume. Okay, the Welch value is the column that says equal variance are not assumed. Okay, you look at the t value, look at the second column. These are the values that we will use in our table, and we will interpret the result. Okay, same like descriptive statistic, do not simply copy paste this whole table into one. We should type them out properly. Okay, so that raw table, when we write into our report or thesis, will look something like this. Okay, so we have the variables which we assess in the left corner, list them one by one. Attitude towards frozen food, attitude towards the usage, and lastly we have intention. Second column is the mean and standard deviation for male and female. We get this value from the SPSS output. Same goes for female, male mean and standard deviation. The fourth column is mean difference. We also get this value from the raw output. The t statistics value, as well as the differences, and lastly the p value. Okay, so this is the interpretation for attitude towards frozen ready to eat food. We found that the mean and standard deviation for male is 3.3. Mean for female is 3.35. This t statistic is 0.3 with a degree of freedom of 13.346, and the mean difference with a 9% of CI is the value is negative 0.0491 with a 95 CI value of 0.3837 and 0.285. Okay, so looking at the p value, obviously for attitude as well as the other two variables, the p value is larger than 0.05. So we reject the null hypothesis if we make for this study is there is no significant difference towards the score of attitude of usage, and behavior intention between male and female. So this null hypothesis is not reject. So this is how we conclude there is no significant difference between male and females pertaining to the score of attitude towards frozen ready to eat foods and the value. If you are reporting for the other two variables, all you need to do is change the value and follow a similar reporting trend. Okay. Let's say somehow by some miracle you do your PITA and you get significant result between groups. All you need to do is report which group has the higher or lower mean score, the value of the nitrogen CI, and of course, most important, what is the p value. And that's about it, how you report for independent t-tests. Okay. Okay, if you would like to know more, about doing a t-test for unequal sample size, you can watch this video on YouTube. You can search, can I do a t-test with unequal sample size? It's by Research Design. That's the name of the channel. So to recap, if your distribution of group is approximately equal, you take and compare the value from the top column. If your groups are not equal, like in this study, you take the value from the bottom line. Okay, this is the Welch t-test value. Okay. Okay, so let's continue on with the next demonstration. The next demonstration will be about paired t-tests. Okay, now paired t-test is usually when we want to compare means of something that we do before and something we do after within the same group. Okay, let's say before going to tuition, your math scores may be B, but after going to tuition, your math scores might goes up. So we are going to see the difference. How much is the mean increase before going to tuition and after going to tuition? But in our questionnaire, there is no our pre-attitude or pre-perception towards frozen to eat foods, and our post-attitude after we have purchased frozen to eat food. So we are going to have to create that data. Tapi jangan risau. It's not that we are going to type out everything. As you can see in this SPSS Outlook, I have included another row of variables indicating attitude of people before they purchase frozen ready-to-eat food and after they have purchased and consume ready-to-eat frozen food. If you're wondering where did I copy paste this, okay, before purchase, I actually copy from the first independent variable, which is attitude towards frozen food. Copy here and just rename it in the variables view. Okay. For after purchase, I copied the values for behavior intention. Copy and paste everything here. And then I went to the variables view and recode everything. So we have now two additional variables just for the sake of demonstrating how paired t-test is done. Okay, so we go into analysis, go into paired samples t-test. You don't need to put Jantina, Bangsa, whatever. All we need to do is the two conditions before and after. Okay, like okay, and this is the value that we are looking for. So we will take the value from the paired sample t-test and combine it into a proper table in Word, and this is how it will look like. As you can see, the result of the paired test, the perception score before purchase, report the mean and standard deviation. After purchase, the mean and standard deviation, the mean difference, in bracket, the 95% CI, and then the second last column is the t statistic value in bracket with the differential value, and lastly the p-value. Okay, So the statistical decision for this analysis, for the paired t-test, we reject the null hypothesis saying that there is no significant towards of the customer's perception before and after purchase. So we reject that hypothesis since our p-value is smaller than 0.1. And we can say that perception of students in K1 and K2 towards ready-to-eat food, perception of before ready-to-eat food differs before and after they have purchased. Okay, in this case, before purchase, oh macam best sedap je ready-to-eat food. Tapi lepas makan, alah tak sedap lah. So that's why the mean score is slightly lower. So how you report this? Okay, we report that mean between before purchase and after purchase of frozen ready-to-eat food pass is statistically different, the p-value, and then 95% CI value. Okay, it is observed that the mean before purchase is higher compared to after purchase. Okay, kita juga boleh conclude mungkin di peringkat before ni cara packaging tu nampak menarik, tetapi lepas kita buka package, kita masak, kita makan, tak sedap. So kita punya persepsi turun. Okay, alright. So the main difference, okay, kita report lagi, the main difference between before purchase and after purchase of frozen ready-to-eat food is between 0.281 and 0.4864, refers to the 95% CI value. Okay, so that is how you do and report paired t-test. Yeah. Okay, next kita akan sambung tentang ANOVA analysis. Okay, so ANOVA kita akan compare mean score antara 3 atau lebih group. Okay, so 3. Okay, antara variables yang layak untuk diuji dalam ANOVA termasuklah in this case bangsa atau ethnicity, dari asal negeri mana, tahap pendidikan tinggi, dan juga anggaran pendapatan. Tapi for the sake of demonstration, saya cuma akan pilih tahap pendidikan tinggi sebab ada 3 saja. Kalau saya tunjuk negeri asal, ada 14 negeri, nanti pening tengok table tu. Tapi tak apa. Boleh tengok contoh yang saya tentang tahap pendidikan tinggi, dan you boleh lepas ni praktis sendiri cara nak analyze ANOVA berdasarkan bangsa ethnicity, state of origin, dan juga anggaran pendapatan. Okay, alright, so let's start the demonstration. So to analyze, compare means and select one-way ANOVA. Okay, set. Okay, choose highest education obtained as your factor, independent factor. Choose the 3 variables that we want to assess and compare means. Okay. For options, go for descriptive, homogeneity, and since this the distribution of groups are not balanced, we have to take the Welch test. Okay, as for post hoc. We will also want to include the equivariance not assumed. So we take the Gibbs Howell. Okay. If the equal amount of variance, if you have equal amounts of variance or fairly equal amount of variance, you should take Tukey. But because our survey is not balanced, we have to take the equal variance and not assume. Okay, so click OK and run the analysis. Alright, this is just the descriptive output, and the homogeneity numbers. Okay. The table that we are interested in is this one, the ANOVA table. Okay. We will take the value from this table only if our numbers of each groups are balanced. But since we have an imbalanced group, we should look at the second table, robust test for equal means, which is the Welch ANOVA. Okay. So the important values that we want to look here are the t-value, the statistical the F score. In this case refers to an ANOVA score. If it's t-value, it will be the t-value, but when you do ANOVA, it's the F value. So in Welch, this column here is representative of the F value. Okay. And the difference between groups and within groups. So you can see here there are two values, the first value and the second value. Okay, how do we report this table? Okay, as you can see here, we have all the three variables, and these are the difference between groups and within groups. Okay, the first column is the difference of mean, DF value or the ANOVA value, as well as the significant value. Okay, this is how you report the result of the ANOVA. Okay, the example is attitude towards frozen food. Okay, what we write here is the level of academic qualification did not have a significant impact on the attitude towards frozen food. State the F value. Stating the F value, in bracket, the difference amount between group is 2, and within group value is 94. And then finally report the F value of 1.726 followed by the P value. Okay, change value when you report attitudes towards the usage of frozen ready to eat food, as well as behavior intention, meaning the F value for, let's say, attitude of usage will also be the same to 2.9 in the bracket, referring to the DF value. So the F value will be 0.057 with a P value of 9.44, and the same also applies when you report behavior intention. Okay, since at this stage it shows that there is no significant value, there is no significant difference between mean scores of attitude frozen, attitude source usage, and behavior intention between people with different education background. I've already put in my here. No need to report the post hoc if ANOVA result shows no significant between all groups. Okay, kalau tak ada significant, but based on this table, let's say kita assume one of these group ada significant 0.05 or below, that we have to look at the post hoc table. Okay, in SPSS, this is how the post hoc table would look like. As you can see, the output has already been programmed to report non-equal groups using the Gibbs and Howell calculation. we look, so from this table, when you report it inside the thesis, it will look, this value will look like, when you copy paste and get rid of the unnecessary columns, it will look like this. Okay, but this is only the post hoc table for the first variable, in this case attitude towards frozen food. Okay, we see the differences between SPM and diploma holder. This is the mean difference with the 90%, 85% CI values below, and of course the significant value. Second, we see the difference between SPM holders and degree holders towards the attitude, and this is the mean difference as well as the CI value as well as the significant value. Same applies for diploma holders against SPM and degree, as well as degree against SPM and diploma. All these values are taken from the raw data, combined into combined and displayed in the appropriate way. Okay, so in this case, our ANOVA result shows an insignificant value, so we can not reject the null hypothesis. So in this case, the null hypothesis will say there is no difference between, there is no mean difference between students of different education background. Okay. Only report significant p-values, or only report significant result from the post hoc test. All you need to do is report the significant value of p and their respective mean differentiation values. Okay, let's say contoh, okay lah, STM dengan diploma, katakan dia punya significant is 0 below 0.05. So just report sini, the difference of mean between SPM and diploma is significant with a p-value of 0 of 0.001 katakan, and the respective and the mean difference is this amount. Okay, the mean difference is 0.1692 dalam bracket negative 4.921 comma 0.8306. Okay, that's how you report kalau result you significant. So take the significant value and take the relevant mean differentiation value and report below. Okay. Alright. Ada dua video, sekejap saya tunjuk link. Okay, for those who would like to know more about reporting post hoc test in ANOVA, you can look at these two videos. The first video is post hoc test ANOVA. The channel is called Quantitative Specialist, and the second video that you can watch is doing the one-way ANOVA with Welsh test, which I just demonstrated before. Okay, you can look these two videos up if you want to know more about doing the analysis and the reporting. Okay. Okay, that covers the ANOVA analysis. If you wish, if you want, you can practice by yourself analyzing the other groups, such as negeri asal, or maybe income groups against the three variables of attitude towards attitude towards frozen food, attitude towards the usage of frozen ready-to-eat food, as well as behavior intention. Follow the same way that I demonstrated to you, based on the analysis using education, meaning based on the group on the education level. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. For the final demonstration for today's class, I'm going to show you how you can do two-way ANOVA, meaning you can compare means between two different categories of group. Let's say, for example, the first group you want to compare between gender, the mean between gender, and the second group you want to compare, let's say, education level, meaning we compare two types of group and their mean scores in one analysis. Okay, so let's go to the SPSS. All right. So on Analyze, you go to General Linear Model under Univariate. Okay. Set. Unlike ANOVA and t-test, the dependent variables for two-way ANOVA, you can only select one. Okay. So kalau you nak, so in this case, behavior intention is the dependent variable yang hakiki. Tetapi kalau you nak compare mean scores between multiple groups for attitude, frozen food, and attitude of usage, you kena buat, you kena run this analysis again. Okay, meaning you have to reset, buang behavior intention, and then masukkan frozen, attitude toward frozen and attitude toward usage, and run. Okay, so saya akan demonstrate behavior intention saja. For the two variables, you boleh practice sendiri. So the fixed variable ini dalam dependent kita akan ambil jantina dan juga tahap pendidikan yang tertinggi. Okay, you can also play around with other demographic details if you want. Katakan you nak ambil ethnicity ke, you nak ambil negeri asal ke. Cuma jangan ambil umur dan pekerjaan lah, sebab based on the survey semua 100% jawab 18-25 and pekerjaan student. But the other 6 variable, bangsa, negeri asal, and anggaran pendapatan, it's fair game. You can analyze and see the results. Okay, and try to report. All right, before we analyze, go to options, bring all of them to this column, click on descriptive, observe power, parameter estimated, homogeneity test, click OK. Now, satu saja kelemahan buat ANOVA 2 ANOVA guna univariate ni, dia cuma boleh detect equal variance assume saja. Dia tak ada option untuk equal variance not assume macam ANOVA biasa dan juga t-test. Tapi tak apalah, kita assume dua grup ni seimbang walaupun dia orang tak seimbang. So kita akan klik to key. Okay. And run the analysis. So this is the value yang keluar. Okay, sama juga dengan ANOVA. The first table yang akan keluar ialah the general table. So we will take this table and report. The line that interests us is this one, jantina slash tahap pendidikan tertinggi against behavior intention. So this row of columns, kita akan ambil nilai-nilainya. Okay. So this column, when we report in SPSS, it will look something like this. Okay. So report the mean difference, the F value, the ANOVA value, the P value, the partial eta square, and the observed power. Okay, semua ada. Alright, so this is how we report the interaction effects. The F value 2. Saya silap. Sekejap. Okay, saya dapat betul dah ni. Sorry. Okay, betul. Just checking the screen here. Okay. So in the interaction effect, the F value as well as the different value in bracket 2, 89, and the value of the F statistic is 0.428, followed by the P value silap 53, and the partial eta value, which is at 0.012, and the observed power of 0.18. Okay. So based on the values yang kita report ni, kita conclude that there is not strong evidence to reject the null hypothesis that there is significant difference in terms of mean score between gender and education level towards behavior intention. Okay. So that's how we can conclude the two-way ANOVA. Okay. If you repeat the same step, jantina, meaning gender and education level against katakan attitude towards frozen ready to eat food, and the attitude towards the usage, value dia akan berbeza, and you just change the wording lah dalam how you report ni. Okay. So for further explanation, you can go to this link. One moment, let me show you. Okay. YouTube. Okay, this is the video on interpreting and reporting two-way ANOVA. The name of the YouTuber is Jimmy Ejo. And this is basically the formula that she used when reporting the ANOVA results. See, she has labeled everything from A, B, C until G, and based on the formula, she put in the values and then write the and write the interpretation in the line below. Okay, so that's basically how you interpret two-way ANOVAs. Okay, you can compare groups, whether it's two group, whether it's between, whether group A has two or group 3 has 3 or more. You can do this two-way ANOVA, but it's just a bit complicated to report and interpret. Right? Okay. So that basically covers this week's lesson. So just to recap, we did the parametric test involving t-tests, independent t-tests, paired t-tests, one-way ANOVA, and a two-way ANOVA. Both t-tests and ANOVA are used to compare mean scores between different groups, and preferably those groups are in equal numbers. If they are not equal numbers, we will have to use the Welch function in SPSS to get the values. Okay. And another condition, in order to use parametric measures, you have to make sure your data is normally distributed. Okay. So what happens if your data is not normally distributed? First of all, don't panic. Don't cry saying that. Don't cry. Jangan susah hati. Jangan susah hati fikir that you have to do data collection again. You can do the non-parametric test, which involves the chi-square test, the Mann-Whitney, and Kruskal-Wallis. And that analysis will be covered in next week's lesson. Okay? All right. I hope my video explanation will be useful for you in understanding the way of doing the analysis, the way of report. And I've also included several YouTube links for you to get a much better explanation on how these analyses can be carried out. Okay. If there's any questions you would like to ask, or anything you wish for me to clarify, you can contact me directly, and I will do my best to respond to you. Okay. So we'll see you in next week's class. Until then, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, and have a good day, everyone.